Vida did not hate her job. That was part of the problem. If she had hated it, leaving would have been easier. She could have blamed the manager, the pay, the office, the people who sent emails marked urgent and then replied 3 days later. She could have made herself the hero of a clean little story. But the truth was worse. The job was fine. She worked in operations for an insurance company in Manchester. It was not exciting, but it paid every month. Her manager was decent. Her team were all right. She had a pension, annual leave, a laptop, and a desk near a window that looked out onto the side of another building. Nothing was wrong enough. That was what made her feel guilty. At 26, Vida knew she was lucky compared to plenty of people. Her rent got paid. Her fridge was not empty. She could meet friends for food if she watched what she spent. She could buy her mum birthday presents without using Klarna. On paper, she was doing okay. But most mornings, when she opened her laptop, something in her sank. It was not dramatic. She did not burst into tears over spreadsheets or stare out of windows like someone in a sad film. She just felt herself going quiet inside. The day would begin, then somehow it would already be lunch, then 4 o'clock, then home, then dinner, then bed, then the same thing again. By Sunday evening, she would start feeling heavy. She told herself everyone felt like that. Her friends moaned about work all the time. Her sister said, "That's just adult life." Her mum told her a stable job was not something you threw away because you were bored. Vida understood that. Her mum had worked cleaning jobs, care jobs, shop jobs. Jobs where your feet hurt and nobody cared. Her dad had done nights in warehouses for years before his back gave up on him. They had not raised her to romanticize being broke. So Vida kept quiet about the thing she really wanted. For years, she had wanted to work abroad and travel. Not just go on holiday. Not take a few nice photos and come home with a tan. She wanted to live somewhere else properly. She wanted a job where the days moved, where she met people from different places, where weather and buses and lost guests mattered more than internal reports nobody read. It had started years earlier, on a cheap trip to Portugal with 2 friends. They stayed in a small hostel near the coast, the sort of place with mismatched mugs, damp towels, and a notice board full of trips. The woman who ran it seemed to know everyone. In the morning she helped guests book surf lessons. In the afternoon she sent people on walking routes. At night she sat outside with whoever was around, eating from chipped bowls and talking in 3 languages at once. Vida remembered thinking, people live like this? Not because it looked easy. It did not. The woman was always fixing something, answering messages, chasing payments, finding spare beds, calming confused travelers. But she looked alive. That thought stayed with Vida for years. Every few months, usually after a bad week at work, she would search for jobs abroad. Hostel assistant. Trip coordinator. Travel operations. Guest support. Walking holiday assistant. She saved adverts in Portugal, Spain, Croatia, Greece. Then she closed the tabs. Because wanting a different life was one thing. Risking the one she had was another. The decision did not come as one big brave moment. It came during a meeting about claim processing times. A man from another team was talking through a slide with arrows on it. Someone else was asking if a weekly report could become a daily report. Vida looked down and realized she had drawn small boxes all over her notepad until there was barely any blank space left. She thought, very clearly, I cannot still be doing this at 30. It was not even panic. It was worse than panic. It was calm. That evening, instead of applying for jobs in a rush, she opened her banking app and scared herself properly. Rent. Bills. Food. Phone. Transport. Debt left on an old credit card. Savings, which were better than nothing but not as impressive as she had pretended. Flights. Deposits. Emergency money. Health cover. Tax. The cost of coming back if it all went badly. The dream looked much less pretty after that. But it also looked more real. Vida made a plan. Not a glamorous one. A boring one with numbers. She gave herself 6 months. For 6 months, she lived like someone with a secret. At work, she carried on as normal. She answered emails, trained a new starter, joined calls, nodded when her manager talked about her future in the company. Outside work, she cut everything back. No random clothes. Fewer takeaways. No coffees on the way in unless the week had been awful. No weekends away. No pretending small spends did not add up. After 2 months, she moved back in with her mum to save faster. It helped financially and hurt her pride immediately. Her mum noticed the boxes in the hallway and said, "You better not be planning something silly." Vida said, "Depends what you count as silly." The conversation did not go well. "You're leaving a proper job," her mum said, standing in the kitchen with her arms folded, "to go and work with tourists?" "That's not exactly it." "What is it then?" "Travel operations. Guest coordination. Maybe tours eventually." Her mum stared at her. "Does that pay?" "Not much at first." "So no." Vida could not even be angry. Her mum was not trying to crush her. She was scared in the way people get scared when they know what money problems can do to a person. And she had a point. Leaving was dangerous. Not dangerous in an exciting way. Nobody was chasing Vida through airports. There was no dramatic villain waiting for her to fail. It was ordinary danger. The kind that looked like running out of money, losing confidence, coming home embarrassed, explaining a gap on your CV to someone in a shirt who did not care about your personal growth. The industry was not safe either. Travel jobs could be badly paid. Seasonal. Messy. Full of people calling long hours part of the experience. Vida knew there was a chance she would get there and realize she had swapped boredom for stress and a smaller wage. She applied anyway. Most places ignored her. Some rejected her nicely. One company liked her but wanted someone already abroad. Another said she had strong admin experience but not enough destination knowledge, which sounded polite but still meant no. A hostel in Spain offered her a trial week with no pay and good vibes, which she did not answer. Then, in August, a small adventure travel company in northern Portugal offered her a 6-month operations assistant role. The pay was low. The hours changed every week. She would be booking transfers, dealing with guests, sorting walking route packs, checking equipment, chasing local partners, and helping out wherever needed. It was not the perfect version of the dream. It was an opening. Vida accepted before she could talk herself out of it. Handing in her notice felt strange. Her manager was kind, which somehow made it worse. He said she had a good future there. He said he understood wanting a change. Then he asked if she was sure. Vida said yes. She was not sure at all. Portugal did not feel magical when she arrived. It rained. Her room was smaller than the photos and colder than she expected. The wardrobe smelled faintly damp. The bakery downstairs started making noise before sunrise. On her first night, she sat on the bed eating crisps for dinner because she was too tired to go back out and too overwhelmed to cook. She had imagined she would feel free. Mostly, she felt stupid. The first month at work was rough. Everyone was nice, but nice did not mean easy. Her colleagues switched between English and Portuguese without warning. They knew which drivers were reliable, which ghost houses needed chasing, which guests were likely to complain, which walking route got muddy after rain, which supplier would say yes when they meant maybe. Vida knew systems. This place ran on people. She made mistakes. She booked a transfer for the wrong terminal. She sent out an old meeting point. She misunderstood a message from a bike supplier and nearly left a group short. None of it destroyed anything, but every mistake felt huge because she had left a stable life for this. There were evenings she walked home with her jaw clenched, thinking, you wanted this. You chose this. So why are you miserable? Her friends back home kept living normally. Birthdays, pub nights, office jokes, engagements, gym selfies, Sunday roasts. Vida saw it all on her phone from a room where she still did not know how to make the shower stay hot. She had expected to miss people. She had not expected to miss knowing how things worked. Which bus to get? Which brand of bread was decent? How to explain a problem without sounding rude? Who to call if something broke? How to be herself without translating half of it first? By Christmas, she had nearly quit twice. The first time was after a guest shouted at her because fog had cancelled a boat trip. Vida had not caused the fog, obviously, but she was the one holding the clipboard, so she got the anger. She smiled, apologized, rearranged what she could, then went into the storage room and cried behind a stack of helmets. The second time was after a meeting with Sophia, her boss. Sophia was fair, but blunt. She said Vida was improving, but still not confident enough. She needed to think ahead more. She needed to stop asking for permission over things she already knew how to fix. Vida nodded like it did not sting. That night, she opened job pages back in Manchester. There was an operations role similar to her old one. Better salary. Hybrid working. Familiar words. Safe words. She stared at it for 20 minutes. Then her phone buzzed. It was Tom, one of the guides. Few of us are at Bar Lima if you fancy it. No pressure. Vida nearly said no. She had said no a lot since arriving. Sometimes because she was tired. Sometimes because she was anxious. Sometimes because it was easier to feel lonely in her room than awkward in public. That night, for no impressive reason, she went. Bar Lima was too loud and too warm. Tom waved her over. Sophia was there, which made Vida consider leaving immediately. So were two guides, a woman called Ines who ran a guest house, a Dutch climbing instructor, and a German bike mechanic called Lucas who looked like he had been forced there by law. For the first half hour, Vida felt like she was acting normal rather than being normal. Then someone asked about Manchester. Someone else made fun of British people wearing shorts in bad weather. Tom spilled beer down his coat and blamed the table. Vida laughed properly for the first time in weeks. It did not fix her life. But she went home feeling less alone. After that, things changed slowly. Not in a montage way. No sudden group of perfect friends appeared. It was smaller. Coffee with Ines after a supplier meeting. A lift from Tom during a bus strike. A Sunday walk that became lunch. Being added to a group chat full of terrible jokes and last-minute plans. Learning enough Portuguese to order without panic. Then enough to understand when drivers were complaining about her. Then enough to complain back badly, which made them laugh. Friendship arrived in pieces. Work did too. Vida stopped waiting to feel confident and started doing things while nervous. That helped more than any advice. She learned which problems were actual emergencies and which were just loud. She learned to keep spare plans ready. She learned that annoyed guests often calmed down if you sounded like you knew what happened next. Slowly, her old skills became useful again. The boring office habits she had resented, lists, details, polite emails, fixing small problems before they became big ones, mattered here. They mattered more, because behind every mistake was a real person standing in the wrong place with a suitcase or a walking group waiting in the rain. By the end of the first year, Sophia offered her another contract. The pay was better, but still not great. Vida accepted. The second year was not easier. It was just difficult in a different way. The first year had been about surviving. The second was about finding out whether she could actually build a life there. That meant boring problems. Tax forms she did not understand. A rental contract that made her nervous. Health insurance. Quiet winters with fewer hours. Missing family events because flights were too expensive. Trying to explain to old friends that she was happy and struggling at the same time. Money was tight for longer than she expected. She helped Ines with guest check-ins on weekends for extra cash. She cooked more. She wore the same coat through another winter. She stopped pretending every sacrifice was romantic. Some of it was just annoying. There were days she missed the clean safety of her old payslip. There were days she wondered if she had made her life harder for no sensible reason. But there were also days that made sense. One spring morning, Vida helped with a walking group along the cliffs after heavy rain. The path was slippery and one older woman kept falling behind. Her husband had died the year before, she told Vida, and this was the first trip she had taken alone. "I thought I'd be braver than this," the woman said, embarrassed. Vida stayed beside her. They walked slowly. Very slowly. The group waited twice. Vida talked her through the worst bits, pointed out where to put her feet, and pretended not to notice when the woman cried at the viewpoint. At the end, the woman squeezed Vida's hand and said, "I needed to know I could still go somewhere." Vida thought about that all evening. Another time, a transport strike nearly ruined a full arrival day. Old Vida would have waited for someone senior to rescue it. New Vida spent 3 hours calling drivers, moving bags, changing pickup times, and convincing a man called Rue to come in on his day off by promising him a favor she hoped Sophia would approve. It worked. Afterwards Sophia said, 2 years ago, you would have cried first. Vida said, I nearly did. But not first. That felt like a promotion before the actual promotion came. By the middle of the second year, people came to Vida for things. Guides asked about schedules. Guesthouses messaged her directly. New staff asked her how the company really worked. Guests mentioned her by name in reviews. She was not just the woman from Manchester who had turned up scared and pale and said obrigada at the wrong times. She was part of the place now. Not completely. Maybe never completely. But enough. Her friendships became real too. Ines became the person who told her the truth without making it hurt more than necessary. Tom became just a friend after they both admitted the weird, almost flirting had mostly been loneliness. Lucas, after about 9 months, revealed he was funny, which annoyed everyone because he had clearly been hiding it on purpose. Sophia became a mentor, though she would have hated the word. Vida still had bad nights. She still missed home. She missed her mom's kitchen, her sister's sarcasm, proper rain that felt familiar instead of dramatic. She missed some old friends, though a few had slowly become people she only liked photos from. That was another thing nobody had warned her about. Changing your life does not just change your location. It shows you which relationships survived distance and which were mostly routine. That hurt. But it also cleared space. Near the end of the second year, Vida went back to Manchester for a week. One afternoon, she walked past her old office. She had not planned to. It was just there, near the tram stop, looking exactly the same. Same glass doors. Same gray building. Same people with lanyards carrying coffees like they were props. For a second, she felt sad. Not because she wanted to go back. Because she could picture the version of herself who never left. 28, maybe promoted, maybe earning more, still telling herself she was tired because everyone was tired. That Vida had not been weak. She had been trying to be sensible. But sensible can become a cage if you never question who built it. That night, her mom made tea and asked, "Are you actually happy?" Vida wanted to say yes quickly. Make it easy. Instead she said, "More than I was. Not every day. But properly, yes." Her mom stirred her tea for longer than needed. And money? Vida smiled. Better than before. Not loads. Her mom gave her the look. I'm saving, Vida said. Good. A few weeks after Vida returned to Portugal, Sophia offered her a permanent role as operations lead for walking and cycling trips. The salary was only slightly more than she had earned in Manchester. Not massively more. Not enough for some big speech about chasing dreams making you rich. But enough to live properly. Enough to save a little. Enough to go out for dinner without checking her bank app first. And the rest of her life was better. Her rent was lower. Her work had movement in it. Her days were not always easy, but they had shape. She spent more time outside. She knew the names of cafe owners, drivers, guides, and guests who came back the next year and remembered her. She was tired often. But she was not hollow. That was the difference. On the evening she signed the contract, Vida walked down to the river after work. The sky was orange over the water, and the restaurants along the street were starting to fill. Her phone buzzed with messages. Ines sent a voice note shouting congratulations over kitchen noise. Tom sent a terrible edited photo of Vida as a mountain guide. Lucas wrote, acceptable career development. Her mum wrote, proud of you. Still save money. Vida laughed at that one. She sat on a low wall by the river and stayed there until the light started going. People talk about changing your life like it is one big brave act. It was not like that for her. It was forms. Bad sleep. Awkward conversations. Cheap dinners. Missing home. Feeling stupid in another language. Crying in storage rooms. Going to the bar even when she wanted to hide. Trying again after getting things wrong. Motivation was not a magic feeling that arrived and stayed. Most of the time, it was just the tiny decision not to give up that day. Vida still had problems. Of course she did. She still worried about money sometimes. She still had lonely weeks. Work still went wrong. People still shouted about things she could not control. She still had days when she looked at her phone and wondered what life would have been like if she had stayed. But she no longer felt like she was waiting for her real life to start. She was in it. Not a perfect life. Not an easy one. Not the life she had imagined when she was scrolling job adverts from an office desk in Manchester. Something better than that. A real one.